Hey guys and girls, Bored now, back with you on this video. I will be talking about The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 4. It is called Please Hold to My Hand. Full spoilers from the start of this review, as always. So this one is mostly taken up with the Joel and Ellie stuff, although we do get a new character introduced, and what feels like she's going to be a big character, and that is Kathleen, played by Melanie Lynskey. So I'll talk about her in a moment, but this does feel like the most, when it comes to just scenes with Joel and Ellie by themselves and getting to know each other, this does feel like the biggest episode for that so far. And there's a lot of like really smart humour in it. There's an ongoing thing where Ellie is like reading from this joke book, like really kind of cheesy sort of jokes, but like she's constantly doing it, and throughout the episode she's trying to get Joel to crack up laughing, and finally she does to the end, which is a really good scene. But just little good character beats and really intimate like reactions between them. We see how Joel is slowly opening up to her and slowly starting to care a bit more, but at the same time he's still got the barriers up. He's still a very, like, I don't know, very business-like, very, like, ruthless, and we see the difference between all his years of experience compared to her. And what this episode does, I think, is show that in this world how someone like Joel, in some ways, is the best person to teach her, or when it comes to like defending herself and how to shoot a gun and take care of herself. He's probably had the best hand-on experience. I think one of the comments of it is saying that when you're on the streets, when you're in the thick of it, when you're an everyday like person and not part of the system type thing, then sometimes that does make you best equipped to handle these things. But it also shows like just the cynical nature and how he's had to like live all these years, and at the same time the effects still the trauma from the people that he's lost. But he does still put barriers between him and Ellie. At times he doesn't let her in fully on things. It's only when a certain dramatic event happens later in the episode where he decides it might be time to show how to shoot a gun properly. But there's a scene where he calls her like cargo, for example, like to her face, like refers to her as cargo. And it's almost like just a way for him to keep a distance. Like he doesn't want to let her in. So it's best to kind of pretend that this is just a mission and there's nothing much more. Which, in some ways, in his mind, I'm sure he's made himself believe that, even though in reality I think he is a little bit more better than that. But we get some good direction once again, some good intimate scenes like when they're in hiding and having these conversations. But then we get really good scale in the episode, really good sort of world building, because they're like travelling through the States, and you get like various things where it once again, after last week's episode was very different. It jumps back to having the slightly more post-apocalyptic horror feel, and feeling a little bit like drawn from like the video game, where like you get some great first-person perspective shots, for example, but great use of the landscape in this. And some of the first-person shots, like for example when they're in the car and they have to go round these ruins which they weren't expected. They're on their way to see Joel's brother, and they have to like take a detour, and we see when they go round how they get lost, and it's something he wasn't expecting, and that's quite a telling scene, because he like Ellie has the map and Joel is like getting frustrated with her because she's struggling to like read the map or give the right coordinates, and she rightly points out to him that, hey, I've only been in a car for 2 days, and this is a big thing in the episode. Joel just realising then he has been a little bit like too harsh on her, and she's had to take a lot on board very fastly, and how because of her upbringing she probably hasn't had the best education. But I do like the dynamic between them, in the sense that the episode opens with Ellie practicing how to point a gun, like when she's in the bathroom, and I like this vibe between them where she very much is ahead of her years, and she's got the very blunt sort of way of talking, and actually seems at times much more like laid back and calm than him. But then extreme things happen in this episode, and have happened in other episodes that really shock her, and the event in this episode like is the first time we've really seen her have like a big like reaction. So it's sort of an interesting like dynamic between them that's developing once again. But yeah, the whole thing about her trying to like crack him up throughout the episode with all these different jokes is really entertaining, and it's a nice character thing for her, because I think she legitimately, it's not just her being a playful kid. I think she is trying to get him to open up and like lighten up a little bit, and some jokes are just so cheesy, and it's a funny moment where they're like going to bed sleeping, and like she brings up the scarecrow joke, and he already sort of knows it, and it's like, have you been reading this? And it's like, no, and just stuff like that, and then the scene with the porno mag was really funny, because it's like, I'm gonna see what all the fuss is about, and then the line about the sticky pages. Why are these 2 pages stuck together? And just the awkward pause from Joel, and it turned out she was only messing with him. But that's that really, for a girl her age, a really advanced kind of crude sense of humour, just to come out with something like that, and the way she messes with him. But this, along with the jokes, which are well played and in character, there's some really subtle drama in this episode, some great tension. But yeah, we get to this point where they have to go in hiding, and what happens is the big event of the episode with them, as I said, they run into this guy on the road who's like shouting at them and trying to make them believe that he's got help. And this is where Ellie, you still see her youth and naivety, because she says, aren't you going to stop for him? And Joel's like, no way. And it turns out it is like an attempted ambush. And this scene's really tense and well directed. And when you get into it, like him shooting at the car, and that's when you get sort of the first person perspective from the back seat, and the whole chase, and then they get into a fight, and it's Ellie who saves Joel, because the other guy, Brian his name is, has got him pinned down and appears like he's gonna kill him, and then Ellie shoots a gun, and she doesn't actually shoot him, which I think is important. Like she didn't quite have the nerve to shoot him, or maybe the point is didn't quite know how to aim it, but shoots off a shot anyway, which scares him, and then he freaks out, and he's like all apologetic, and he gives like the knife to Joel and says, okay, I'm gonna stop now, I'm gonna back off, and it's in that scene we just see Joel's how ruthless he is he's not taking any chances, and he tells Ellie to leave, like go behind the wall, and then he actually kills the guy with the knife. You hear it off camera. And what we see in this episode is that Joel, things are starting to get to him about Ellie, about how she has to grow up in this world, how she has to face things that would sort of traumatise people twice her age, really. So we see that in the scene where he apologises to her, and she almost opens up to him saying it's not the first time that I've like shot someone or shot at someone, and he tries to get her to open up about it, and she doesn't want to talk about it, and he's cool about that, like he's just there for her. But and then you have the really sort of break type moment where she finally makes him laugh with the like the diarrhea joke. It's hereditary. It runs down your genes, which is really good, and he slowly cracks up. He does that thing of, at first he's like he gives a little chuckle. He's like, oh boy, and then it slowly, like, if you excuse the pun, it slowly comes out. But that's really good stuff, and that's a clever little scene to put before the cliffhanger of the episode, because they go off to they go to sleep like laughing, and you get a lighter scene, and then you have the sort of like end of the episode, which with this boy with like warrior face paint, this young boy like pops up. Joel doesn't hear him because Joel's put down this glass. He's like, in case anybody tries to sneak up on us on the night, and I guess because it's a small boy, he was able to like creak around it or something, but or get to them somehow. And he wakes Ellie up and just tells her to shush, and that's like the end of the episode. And it's possible that this is some sort of link to the whole Kathleen plot. So we've got Kathleen, played by Melanie Linsky, and it introduces her, but also this other faction that we haven't seen. So it's not like the Fireflies, and it's not like the Fedra, the main like military faction. It's another faction, but she's looking for her brother Henry, and she's actually we see her first of all. She's got like this guy at gunpoint, and at first we think it's just some random guy, but it turns out it's actually her doctor that she's known all her life, and he's literally the doctor who gave birth to her. And so this is obviously serious stuff for her to hold him at gunpoint, and it's because she believes that he gave up her brother, this Henry character, and so she's trying to get like information out of him, and he's trying to assure her that it wasn't really his fault. He didn't give them the exact location, but he seems to like know someone who would know that information. And he says like, they had me at gunpoint, and she's not taking any shit really. Like, she's really cynical and like just mad with him, because she's saying things like, it's like, oh yeah, you want mercy now because like you're safe. You're not safe anymore. You're on the receiving end of it. But yeah, it sort of shows you the sort of mindset she's in, and she would like kill, which she does in the end, because like she goes to like the other army members or the other parts of this faction, and they find someone, and it turns out he's beyond saving. He's not in the condition where they can save him, because she says, I've got a doctor in there, and the other like main guy says like, no, he's beyond saving. And so she goes in and just shoots the doctor. But that's at the point of the episode where they're searching around the apartment and searching for people, and that's at the point where Joel and Ellie go into hiding to like avoid them. So you've got some nice shots around these various like remote apartments, and just all the ruins and things that we see in the episode. Really good set design and detail, but Melanie Linsky, as she always is really great, really fantastic. Strong personality, really sort of dogged and determination. Some really powerful lines coming from her, and yeah, it's another example really of the writing in this show where even though this is her first episode, we already get a clear picture of her, like a clear feel for the character, and it feels very distinct, and we get to know her quite a bit, even though she's not in that much of the episode. We see her in a few scenes, but it's just a credit to the writing. And this is her debut in the series, and already we know her pretty well and just get a feel for the sort of character. Now, obviously, it's hard to really judge if she's going to be that sympathetic or not. So, she could be just someone who's rebelling against the system, who maybe in many ways is sympathetic, but probably going to extremes and not handling it in the best way, because certainly on the face of it, the doctor didn't really deserve to die, and she must be in a bad place mentally if she would actually kill someone like him. But at the same time, who knows? I mean, maybe there's an ulterior motive to her character. Maybe it's a little more suspicious than that, but we'll wait and see. It's another great addition to the cast. They've really cast this series so well, outside of the two leads, the supporting roles as well. And it sort of started with the first episode and in the first scene with John Hannah making that cameo appearance. That was really effective stuff too. So that's The Last of Us. Not surprisingly, another really good episode. Little bit of a come down, as you might expect from last week's. It wasn't quite going to match that level, but still really great stuff, and just really into the Joel and Ellie relationship and their dynamics. So that really carried the episode, along with some really strong direction again. So that's my review of episode 4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media for extra content, extra perks. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/boardnow, or .boardnow.com, I should say. patreon.com/boardnow.com. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. The link's on the channel anyway. I'm having a bad moment. But yeah, for $1 a month or £1, you can get extra perks, commentaries, extra reviews, opinion videos, various things. You can get early access to some stuff as well, and look out for other TV shows I'm doing. I'm doing Wolfpack at the moment. That's another weekly show on Paramount Plus, and I'm just about to start reviewing Yellow Jackets. So we've got season 2 coming in March, and I will be reviewing season 1 very soon on the channel, just to prepare for the new season. So look out for